you're meeting from. And we'll start with Mr. Ayers.
Present in Elma, Michigan.
Perfect. Mr. Godfrey.
Present, Alma, Michigan.
Wonderful. Mr. Hall.
Present, Alma, Michigan.
Ms. Guerrero.
Present, Alma, Michigan.
Mr. Justin.
Present here in Elma.
Wonderful. And then I have Mr. White. Is that
2020 meeting. Motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, and do we have support?
Or
Support.
Okay,
yeah, lots of support.
wonderful. Anybody have any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye or raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carried. First appeal is a variance request for 320 Allen Avenue, an appeal of the required 30-foot front yard setback. The applicant, Jerry Clark, proposes to construct a new 8x8 front porch. The applicant is proposing a front yard setback of 6 feet. The parcel is zoned R1, single family residential. Our hearing's now open.
All right, and this is I apologize that it just got to you folks yesterday afternoon. I was waiting on those renditions that you see in your packet there, showing the porch and those steps going up. As you can see from the pictures of the structure, this neighborhood and this structure in particular, they're very close to the property line. From property line to the front of house is roughly 16 feet. We out there measured some things up. Also, which kind of odd or interesting, however you want to look at it, with this structure is it's basically two buildings that are put together. There's a home, and then there's this, what you would look at as a traditional commercial building attached to it. Up until recently, those two structures were separated. Now they're under one address. They were 324 and 320 Allen. Now it's one address, which is much better for all of us involved. It's been lots of weird inquiries about this property over the years, but having it as one single family unit makes it much better and safer. The part of the structure we're looking at is what looks like the more traditional home section of it for the porch and steps. Now, what they're asking, the steps that they presented here come right out the front of the house. That's shown in the picture, 8 feet, and it's 8 foot wide. And then the steps themselves are 3 foot 8 inches. Going from the house out to there, out from there, just over 11 feet. And then from the edge of where that would come out to the edge of the sidewalk, the inside edge of the sidewalk there, it's about 5 feet. So what we would have is 5 foot clearance back to those stairs. Now, we have talked with the individuals that own this and will be putting this in about the possibility of going off to the sides of that porch. And if they were to do that, obviously that takes us from that 5 foot setback from the interior of that sidewalk up to 8, almost 9 feet, which does put us in a position of being more consistent with what's happening in that neighborhood. We measured the steps up to the sidewalk across the street. There was one at 9 foot, another one at 8 foot, and then the house just to the north, that one was about 9 foot. So that would be more consistent to have the stairs going off that way and just be measuring from the porch out to the sidewalk. Or we could just, the board has that decision too, if they wanted to, is to allow them to have the stairwell come out toward the street. You could do that also, but it'd be the closest stairs to the public sidewalk that we would have in that neighborhood. Like I said, it's an improvement to the building. I did receive 2 phone calls, both in support of the project from the neighborhood, with the 300-foot letters that we sent out. So I guess if there's any questions or comments, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Eric, the commercial looking building, what's the distance from basically the stoop of that building to the sidewalk?
If that's about 3 foot difference, give or take, from the front of that house to the edge of that commercial building. So you're probably, we said we were 11.5, so probably 9 to 10 feet from the inside edge of sidewalk, probably 10,
Okay.
closer to.
All right, I'm looking at the 320, the door with 320 on the bottom of this
Yep.
storm door.
Yep.
So that stoop there on that one to the sidewalk is about 9 feet.
It'd be 9-10 feet.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
but the deck's going on the other door,
Yes,
not on
on
the
the
door
other
that
door.
has the writing. Yep.
Right. No, I was just seeing, I drove by it today and anything's going to be an improvement.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're thinking probably the house came first because the foundation matches the one right next door to it, and then who knows? Was at a grocery store at one point?
It was a gun shop for a long time.
Was a gun shop? Okay,
Yep.
so
For a long time.
and now, like I said, from my standpoint and staff standpoint, we're happier that it's becoming one residential area as to suppose what's happened in the past there. So
I was out there this morning and measured, and when you look down the neighborhood on both sides, it would be beneficial, since they've agreed to have them do the sides coming to either the north or the south. If the stairs do come out towards the sidewalk, we will be setting a precedence for anybody else that wants to increase the size of their deck to be able to come out to 5 feet also. So my feeling was, since the homeowner has agreed to either come off the north or the south with the steps, that we may want to keep that larger setback since we have the opportunity.
I have to agree with that.
Yep. I think that'd probably be the easiest thing for everybody and makes the most sense anyway.
I think it would look better too.
I believe
Would
Mr.
they-
Clark is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I believe Mr. Clark is on the line. If anybody has any questions directly for him, he could dial *6 to unmute. So
No, I think as long as he's agreeable, going off to the side makes sense to me too, north or south, or if you really want to get creative, you could have steps both sides.
I wouldn't object to that, but I would, yeah, if I was doing it, I'd be looking at the least expensive way of doing it. So I'd go off one
Right.
side.
Yep, I agree.
Is Mr. Clark able to communicate with us, or is he just listening in?
if he dials *6 on his telephone, he should be able to unmute and he can speak to you. We'll send a request to.
There he is.
This is the contractor. This is
Oh,
the owner's brother. So
Okay.
I'm the contractor that's going to put the porch on or
All
the
right.
deck on. So
as a contractor, are you okay with the steps either coming off the north or the south instead of the east?
I am aesthetically pleasing. We were trying to, hopefully we could go towards the street with it. But again, the plan B would be to go towards the south with it. So we want to make sure we had a plan B so that we could
Right.
make sure that this property was, a lot better looking property. So.
And that piece of parcel there is probably the one that's closest to the road as you look up and down that street. A lot of them are set back further, which gains them a little bit more distance for a larger deck or something like that. But that would be my recommendation, if that's okay with you, that we have the steps come off to the south.
Okay. I also spoke with my brother before this, and we spoke that if it was be more doable and make more sense, if we go towards the street, we could actually shorten the deck up another 2 foot or so, if that would be possible. I mean, I guess that'd be planned as a plan C, but if you want it to go to the south, then by all means, we can go to the south with it. So,
to make it consistent with the other homes around there, it would probably have to be shortened up by 3 foot. I don't know if that's too much or.
I almost think we could probably do that. I'd have to do some measurements on it and stuff, but I mean, we're trying to make it to be more consistent with the neighborhood. If the neighborhood and we don't want to, I guess, as a lack of a better term, step on nobody's toes or anything. We want it to look nice, and we want it to be, to go with the neighborhood. So if we could go back a few feet, and have it go out toward the front, or I guess I can talk to him if we've got 2 different areas there to where we could go to the south, or we could go, towards the street. Well, then, if he wants more size, we can go to the south, So I guess I'd have to speak with him and make sure, see what he wants,
Looking at the overhead, if you went back 3 feet on the deck to make it a 5 foot porch.
Yep.
That 5 foot, I'm thinking about putting a front porch on my place this spring, and I'm not going out any more than 5 feet. I just, the 2 of us want to sit out there and enjoy a cup of coffee or something in the morning. That's enough room for that. And then we'd be looking at what, about 5 or 6 feet off the sidewalk, Eric?
8 feet.
We would be off 8 feet at that point.
We'd be off 8 feet?
Yep. We'd be consistent with our neighbors there. Yep.
That would probably be, aesthetically, that would probably be the best way to go. If he's agreeable to go, 3 feet off that deck to make a 5 foot deck, and then the steps out towards the street, I agree. That would be the best looking way to do it. But if that doesn't work, then definitely go south.
Oh no, I'm good with that. I'm beautiful. I agree fully. I mean, if you guys are good with that, so.
I'm good with the shortening the deck out and the steps going out, because like you said, it would match the neighborhood, but the steps going straight out.
And looking at the overhead, that makes the most sense. The sidewalks there, they don't have to, it'd be the best way all around, in my opinion.
Do you also plan on adding a cement sidewalk from the end of the deck out to the sidewalk
Yes. And then I've noticed that during this conversation, we want to do a retaining wall that goes between the deck and the front of where it looks like where the gun shop used to be. It's a 32-inch high by 32 foot long retaining wall. And we're going to do that out of treated lumber, but it's also going to hold up where the old porch and whatever used to be in there. And we want to do a planting bed in there. But I want to make sure that was all doable before we just went ahead and build it.
And that's where the black plastic and the dirt is, up against where the little notch is there, where the other.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Exactly. Yep. That's where that's all at. Yep.
That would look good.
I think that's more landscaping than structural, so I don't think we need to. I don't think we even need to address that, do we?
No, it's nothing that we need to do from a zoning standpoint, and no, it definitely would make that look much nicer for sure.
Wait, they want to make it
Beautiful.
look nicer? Something's wrong with this picture.
No, believe you me, there's been some houses along this route the last probably 10 years that people have bought and put some money into, and starting to turn around that neighborhood there. So this is another one that it's nice to see some things being put into it.
So if he's gonna go back to a 5-foot deck, then we're now asking for just a 1-foot variance off the guidelines? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, from the existing, from what we've anticipated what the existing was there, yeah. So we would be asking for, we think what was there before, we probably had 10 foot between the sidewalk and what was maybe there before. So that would be 8 foot. So I guess we'd be asking for 2 instead of the 6.
But the normal setback should be, is the zoning ordinance says setback has to be how far?
30 is our,
Okay.
our
All right.
but nobody in this neighborhood or older neighborhoods meet those current setbacks.
I think 30, you're looking at the kitchen, aren't you?
Maybe even further back.
Okay, then I guess we're looking at a motion to grant a yard setback of 2 feet,
2 feet.
and they will make a 5-foot, 5x8 front porch. Is that roughly the size?
Yep.
Okay, I need someone to make that motion.
I will move that we give them the variance requested for 5-foot porch, 2 feet variance, and
Construct a 5x8 front porch.
5x8 front porch with the variance from the street.
I would, since we had discussion on the steps, I guess I would include in there too that we also agreed with that setback that the steps, we would allow them to come off the front. Just so, since we had that discussion, I want to make that clear in our final thing.
Yes.
It's also okay if we come off with a sidewalk going out towards the street then.
Yes.
That would be great.
Beautiful.
That would be great.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, I'll second the
Okay.
motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. You're all set, Mr. Clark?
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it from everybody involved.
You're welcome.
Very good.
Thank you. So,
Okay,
all right. Thanks again. Truly appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
good luck.
You do the same. Thank you. Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay, our second variance request is for 313 North State Street, an appeal of the projecting sign ordinance size limitation. The applicant, 313 Boutique Hotel, proposes to install a 144-inch by 30-inch historic theme project sign on the front southeast corner of the building for the new hotel to be constructed on the ground floor. The property is zoned B1 Central Business District. The B1 district allows for the installation of projecting signage. The hearing is open for that variance.
Okay. Believe it or not, this is the first time since I've been doing this where we've brought a sign to the ZBA. We currently in our sign ordinance do allow for projecting signs, but it's a fairly small size. It's 7.5 square feet per side, so a total of 15, which really gives you a pedestrian projection sign. And the rendition, what they're trying to do with the overall project, this ground floor will be 9 hotel units. The second story will be 8 residential units, and then there will be 1 ground floor residential unit on the annex building off the alley of the structure. Planning Commission has provided a special use permit for the hotel and the upper story apartments, and the conditional rezoning for that 1 unit off the back. The hotel, obviously, it's something that we don't have directly in the downtown, so this is something that we've been working on to try to have happen. And the idea of bringing in the sign, the way that is kind of an older historic design that used to be pretty prevalent during that time period. But under our current zoning, from a size standpoint and height, I can't staff approve it. Now, currently, the way to kind of handle something like this would be to say, hey, we would like to see these things happen in our community, and we would go to Planning Commission and work through an amendment to the zoning ordinance for the signage to allow for something a little larger like this. But that would take multiple months. And right now, we are actually just began at the last Planning Commission meeting a complete review of our sign ordinance. A lot of pieces of our sign ordinance are not constitutionally legal anymore from a standpoint of freedom of speech. So what the information I gave to the developer to how we could move the project forward without stalling just a sign portion of it for up to 6 months. It could take us to do this. That we come to this board and ask for relief on the size of it and then the actual height. The sign itself would be located off the front of the building on the east elevation, and it would be out toward State Street. So as you were coming down State Street from the north or the south, you would see that projecting sign saying hotel. In the past, the reason why they weren't allowed to be this large is because the individuals who were here before us were afraid, and they did have, I guess, back in the 60s and 70s, some of these signs after fires would happen, and they would not stay where they were supposed to stay. The projecting signs that are made today are much, much lighter. Plus, as you can see, we've required them to basically provide us calculations on can that sign, the way they're looking at putting it in, attaching it to the building, can that stay up there like it's supposed to stay up there. They will have to pull a building permit for that sign because it will be anchored in, so it'll have to be reviewed by the building official also. So this, from a standpoint of getting keeping the project moving, this is where the recommendation we made to them to come to this board and to take a look at it. And like I said, as we're going through Planning Commission's review of the sign ordinance, this is one section that will be amended, and well, hopefully, as we have these other projects happening in downtown, that we maybe could see some more of these historic type signs that are a little bit bigger than the ones that we currently have. So.
In the interest of full disclosure, I am a tenant of Gemini Capital Management. My downtown business he's my landlord. If this creates a conflict of interest, I can bow out, keep silent, whatever.
It does not, because it doesn't directly benefit you.
Oh yeah, well, it'll give me all kinds more businesses, but I'm looking at it.
Well, you're not located in the building, or you're not a partner of it or anything like that.
I just wanted everybody to know where I was standing.
Yep.
I think as long as John's rent is all paid up, there isn't any conflict.
There shouldn't be.
Oh, he takes it down every month like clockwork. It's amazing.
I think the new sign on there, based on the drawing, is going to look absolutely awesome. If we can go ahead with my artificial palm trees along with it, I think it's going to be looking good downtown.
Speaking of trees, that's the one issue I thought it was, looking at the picture, I thought it was going into the parking lot between them and the bank, but I like the fact that it's coming out towards State. That tree is right in the way, and he is willing to trim and keep it trimmed. Can he trim it right down to the ground, Eric?
All I could say,
Once he finishes that, can you do the one in front of my building?
all I can say is, like I spoke to him about that. Obviously, we were supposed to have a pretty extensive conversation about the trees and the landscaping for downtown this year. Obviously, we can't get together and actually have real public meetings to have real discussions. So long term, I'm assuming what will probably happen is we'll have less trees downtown. My thought is what we were looking at doing is bringing a consultant to help us look at where to position them and give us a couple ideas of what species of tree to bring down that would maybe cause less heartburn than these have caused for folks. Even though, believe it or not, these trees are actually way healthy. They shouldn't have lived this long and grown this
They
large.
weren't supposed to be that big either.
Exactly.
I
They shouldn't
remember
have
when
lived
they
this
put them
long or
in.
got that big.
Yeah.
But that's a longer conversation because, and that's what it is with trees. Either you love them, and then sometimes you hate them because it affects maybe something that you're doing. And I was telling Tad, we were talking about the tree, and that's what the conversation he makes. He's talking about the fake palm trees. I wanted to bring in a consultant, have a real public discussion. It's if you look at our canopy right now, it's a pretty cool looking canopy. If you take out maintenance issues, those sort of things, it's quite beautiful. It's going to change that landscape and really make those buildings look a lot different. And it's going to be a shock to the system. So I obviously want to have a very good in-depth discussion with everybody involved, not just downtown, but the community in general. And then what do we do moving forward? We probably don't need that many trees. I think the last count before we started taking some of them down because they were diseased and that sort of thing was 92 of them. And that's quite a few trees.
Wow.
In a downtown area. So let's, if it wasn't for COVID this year, we would have had that discussion. And I don't think it's tough to do those types of discussions on Zoom and really get a good back and forth with folks on what we'd like to see our downtown look like, because it will change dramatically once we remove those trees. So, but that's a long way to say I can't answer that at this moment.
Okay.
Well, I actually don't have a problem with the sign at all, and I don't know whether your city crews would want anybody messing with the trees without them being there. So I would recommend that we let Bob worry about cutting the tree back and let Ryan have his sign.
Has there been anything from outside, Eric?
I haven't
Either for or
received any
against?
phone calls or anything, but I see one of the neighbors of the building, Lori, is on the line. So Lori may have some comments, but I haven't received anything prior to this meeting. No.
Okay.
Shows that she's unmuted. She may be having some issues with her microphone.
Okay.
And Lori can
Lori's
also call
okay.
in with the number posted as well if that would work better for her.
Oh, I see some
I got
lights.
some video there. Yeah, Lori's located in the new Edward Jones office on the corner of Superior and State.
Which looks fabulous, by the way.
Yes.
It's a very
I agree.
good building.
She might be busy buying GameStop. I'm not sure.
She may be calling me right now. One second. Hi, Lori. That's okay. Did you want to make a comment or anything, or no? Well, we're talking about the sign. The tree was just kind of ancillary. Okay. 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 All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. Nope. She is good with the sign. She was going to ask a question about the trees, but we can talk about that another time. So.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Eric. Sorry, Eric. My bad.
Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll close the hearing and entertain a motion to approve the variance. Someone want to
I will move that we,
approve the,
yes, I'll move that we approve the variance and let them install the sign and go forth and bring yet more to downtown Alma.
I'll second
I'll
that
second.
motion.
Ted got it.
okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed, same sign. We have approved the variance. Okay, do we have any other business?
No, we do not.
Okay, anything in the future that you can,
Not that I've seen. But, for the planning commission on Monday, we haven't had anything for 2 months, and now I got 4 or 5 items on all, in the last 3 days. So you never know.
Going to be a busy one then
It is.
for a change.
Yes,
All
it's
right.
going to be very busy.
okay. And if we have no further business, I guess we'll adjourn at 5:35.